Hi guys, good evening. In this session, we are going to understand. When we create our first Maven application, okay, so we are getting some folders here, like what is SRC main Java, what is SRC main resources, what is SRC slash test slash Java, what is this SRC slash test slash resources. Okay, we are getting some folders. First, we will understand what are these folders are coming from. Okay, that means why these folders are coming and what is the purpose of these folders we are going to understand first. Now, so when we develop a standalone application using Maven tool, internally our build tool, that means our Maven tool will generate some folders. Like what kind of folders? These four folders, like SRC main Java, resources folder, SRC slash test slash Java folder, and SRC slash test slash resources folder here. Now, what is this SRC slash main slash Java? Now, before going to this, now what I want to do here is again I want to create a one new Maven application. So how to create a one new Maven application? So click on File, New, okay, other. Here choose what? Okay, so here choose Maven. Okay, Maven. Okay, so click on where? Click on Maven project. Next button. If you want standalone application, okay, so check this checkbox. Create a simple project. Check. Then next button. And here, what is the group ID? Group ID here is something like form.teja. What is the artifact ID? Okay, so the artifact ID here is second application. Second application version is 1.0 and click on finish. At the down, you can able to see creating the project second application. So our Maven build tool is creating the project. So wait until it gets created. So for this Maven tool, internet is compulsory. Yeah. So when we create this, okay, so that means second Maven application, we got some folders here. SRC main Java resources folder, SRC slash test slash Java, and SRC slash test slash resources, something with JDK. Okay, so JDK version and one file called form.xml. Now what I want to do here is first I want to know about these four folders, like why these four folders are coming. So inside this SRC main slash Java, what we have to write? We have to write the our class files. Okay, so our class files, example, student. Okay, so student.java or student controller. Okay, so student controller.java, like this. Okay, so we have to write what our Java class files here. Next, and interfaces, like what kind of interfaces? Like I student repo. Okay, so repository.java, like interfaces and class files we have to write inside this folder. Which folder? SRC main. Okay, so SRC main Java folder here. Okay, sir, what is the things we have to write inside this SRC main resources folder? Okay, so inside this we have to, okay, so what things we are going to do here is we will be having what properties file. Okay, so when you are working with Spring Boot, there you will be coming a property file called application dot properties. Okay, so there you will be getting out application dot properties. Sir, we will be defining properties file. Not only properties file, we will be using what templates, nothing but our HTML pages and what JS. Next one is what images. Okay, like images, like what kind of images here? Like some standalone images like JPG, PNG, bitmap image, like that. Okay, so these things we will be writing inside the folder called SRC main resources. So what are the things? One is what properties file. Okay, something like app.properties. So app.properties file or app.yml file, like that. Some properties file. And what is the templates here? Templates here is okay. So student register. So student register.html, like this templates. So this templates folder, when we are going to use here is when we working with time leap. Okay, so Spring time leap. At that time, okay, so we will be creating a folder inside this SRC main resources. So inside that we will be creating a file called dot with extension .html with respect to, so what is the module name? So assume I am creating a file called student register.html in the folder called templates. Okay, next. What is the next one here? Images. Okay, so what kind of images we can able to place? Something like a logo. Okay, so logo, company logo dot jpg. Okay, next one here is what? Okay, so profile pic. Okay, so profile pic dot bmp like that. Some kind of images we can able to place inside this resources folder. So we have understood two kinds of folders here. One is src main java and next one is what src main resources. Sir, why src main java? To write our class files and interfaces. Like what is that student.java, student service.java, student controller.java. Next, what is src main resources? So in this folder, we'll be writing out properties files. Okay, so we'll be defining our own custom properties files. Next one is what templates here, like HTML pages. Next one is what images. Images means what like logo.jpg, .bmp, like what is the extensions we will be using for images. So those things we'll be defining inside this resources folder. Okay, sir, done. Next, what is the next one here? Next one here is what is src main slash test. So in this folder, okay, what we'll be doing here is we'll be writing the test cases for our project. So all the test cases we'll be defining inside the folder called test here. Okay, so test. Like to define the test cases, we will be using the frameworks which are given by Java, that is JUnit, Mockito, EasyMock, and HTTP Mock. So we'll be using these kind of frameworks, that means these kind of testing framework tools, and we will be defining what test cases here. So if I want to develop a test case, we'll be writing inside the folder called src main slash test. For src main slash test, I want to use some properties files, right? Okay, so those properties files, that means the properties files which are used for this src main slash test, those will be defining inside the folder called the resources folder. Okay, so we'll be placing inside the folder called resources here. And inside that, we'll be defining what is the properties files and what is the templates that are used for our test cases. In real time, okay, so templates are not used. Okay, so only properties files are used. So these properties files are used before Mockito. Once Mockito has been came into market, so what we are going to do here is, so by using Mockito, we'll be creating what dummy objects and we will be inserting the data and we will be checking the conditions like what is asset equals asset true or asset false like that. Okay, so this JUnit with Mockito we'll be discussing in the upcoming sessions. We can now concentrate on in which folder what we have to write. Okay, so in the test folder we'll be writing test cases. The src slash test slash resources we will be writing the properties files which are related to our test cases folder. Okay, done. Now, what is my next step here is, sir, you have told, so once we create a, that means when once we create a Maven application, you will be getting form.xml file. There we have to use a tag called dependencies. Inside that, we will be using a tag called dependency. Sir, how, sir, when we add a particular dependency inside the dependencies tag, so how the jars will be downloading from M1 repository to M2 repository? Okay, so assume. So he is a client and this is a client machine. So when we had, okay, so when we added the dependency inside the M2 report, that means inside the pom.xml, what happens here is a network call will be hit to M1 repository. So in M1 repository, all the jars will be arranged in a proper order. So from there, the jar will be picked. Okay, so with respect to like what type of jars programmer want, those jars will be picked and those jars will be downloaded to the local folder called M2. Okay, so M2 is a local folder. Well, all the jars will be stored here. Sir, is M2 folder is created by ourselves? No, 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 no. Maven will create this M2 folder. Okay, the jars will be downloading from M1 repository and those things will be stored in M2 repository. And so inside this M2 repository, all the jars will be loaded. When you run the application for the next time and again for the next time, what happens here is the jar will be downloading from M2 repository. Okay, so it won't go to M1 repository. That means central repository or server. Okay, it will won't make the network call because already the jar is available inside where inside your M2 repository. Here. So where exactly this M2 repository is available? Now let me open in my system. Okay, so click on C. Okay, users. Okay, user. Here you can able to see a folder called M2. Okay, so M2 is a folder. Now open this, and here you can able to see a folder called repositories. Now I want to take some one common repository. That means one jar which is downloaded from M1 repository, MySQL connector. Okay, so 8.0. Yeah. You can able to see this is a jar, MySQL connector Java. Okay, so this jar has been downloaded from M1 repository to M2 repository in our local. Okay, so in our local. So by default, M2 folder will be created automatically by the Maven build tool here. Is it clear? Okay. Next, what is the next step here is, sir, how to create a class inside src main Java. Okay, now let me show you. So how to create a class. I want to create a class. Right click on src main Java. Right click, class. Okay, now let me define the package. Okay, so com.teja. So I want the class called something like student controller. Student controller. Save. Okay, so a class has been created inside the package called com.teja inside the folder called src main java. Not only class, we can able to create what interfaces also, like how I want an interface inside this com.teja. Now here you can able to see right click on src main java and next on the package, and on that right click here you can able to see what interface. Now open this interface and define what kind of interface you want. I want a interface called student repository. Yes, you can able to see a interface has been created. What type of thing? A interface has been created, and here you can able to see something which is provided by eclipse. Okay, so I is a symbol. So I stands for what? This is not a class, this is the interface. Okay, so what eclipse is telling to us. Okay, like that. So like this we can able to create the what is this classes and interfaces inside the folder called src main java. Not only this, I want to create a properties file. So how to create? Right click on src main java, new, other. Okay, so here choose a type. Okay, so choose a type called file. Oh, and now I want a file called application dot properties. Yes. Automatically we can able to create what properties files also inside where inside src main java slash resources. Sir, when I use application dot properties, why this symbol is coming? Because this symbol indicates that this is a application dot properties file which is related to Spring Boot. I am using the IDE called sts3. Okay, so sts3. Okay, if I rename, that means if I rename or if I create a one new properties file, at that time you won't be getting this leaf symbol. Now let me take here app dot properties. Now observe, we are getting a leaf symbol. No, we are not getting. So here we are getting leaf symbol. That means what? So this is a properties file which is related to Spring Boot here. So like this, we can able to create what properties files inside the folder called src main resources. Okay, guys, done. Now, what is the next step here? Next step here is I want to what I want to do here is I want to add the jars from the internet, and I want to work in my project. So if you want to add the particular jars from the internet, what you have to do? So first, come here. Let me take one new application. That means the incognito tab. Here, choose Google. Next, here type Maven repository. Here you can able to see the first site MVN repository. Open this MVN repository. Now I want the tag called, that means I want a jar called Spring Web MVC jar. I want Spring Web MVC jar. Yes. So we are getting the something results found with the Spring Web MVC jar. So this is what Spring Web MVC jar. Open this. When we open, so we are getting some kind of things here, like a central repository. Okay, so these are the different types of repositories here. Now in the central repository, there are 254 jars are available with respect to all the versions here. So it's 6.0 version. Okay, I want something a version called 5.2 or 5.3 like that. Let me take one random jar. Okay, I want 5.3.2.8. Take this. Okay, done. Now after clicking on this, you can able to see what. Okay, so what is the jar name here? Uh, Spring Web MVC jar of what version? 5.3.2.8 here. Okay. Now here you can able to see the web box. Okay, so Maven, Gradle. Okay, so what kind of build tool you are using? Now I am using Maven only. In the future, we will be discussing Gradle build tool also. Now let me copy this Maven dependency. Okay, so copy. Come here. Come here. Now here inside inside our project, we will be having a file called form.xml, right? Okay, so inside this form.xml, I want to add a dependency. Okay, so I want to add a dependency. Now let me add the dependency here first. Okay, if you add the dependency like that, immediately, okay, so immediately form.xml will be getting the error saying first we have to add the tag called dependencies. So inside the dependencies, we will be okay, so we have to add what dependency here. Now, let me add dependency. Now observe on right side, left side, we'll be getting what? Okay, so Maven libraries. See, the jar is downloading from central repository, that is from M1 to M2 folder. On the left side, we will be getting what Maven dependencies. Yes, we have got what Maven dependencies. So the jar has been downloaded. Okay, now we can able to use this jar. Like how? Okay, so I want to work with the annotation. So what is that annotation? @controller is the annotation. Yes, we have got the annotation. What type of annotation? Stereotype annotation. Okay, so how we have got, because we have added the jars. Okay, so from where we have added from M1 repository to our local to M2 repository, and we have added the dependency inside the file called form.xml inside the tag called what dependencies here. So this is the one thing. And what is the next step here is now after downloading the jars from the internet, what is the next step here? I want to exclude the particular jar. But before that, now let me tell you like what are the points I have wrote in my material. So to download the jars, open Google and choose for the what type of jar you want. Okay. Next, inside our form.xml file. Okay. So inside the project tag. Okay. So you first create a tag called dependencies. So inside that, okay. So paste the dependency what you want for your project. Next. Next, what is the next step here? Sir, I have pasted the dependency. Okay, I have pasted the dependency for my project. Now, my main target is I don't want to work with this JCL jar. Okay, I don't want to work with this JCL jar. Instead of this JCL jar, what I want to do here is I want to include my own jar. Okay, include my own jar. That means I don't want this JCL jar. So for this, what we have to do? Okay, I want to exclude. So how to do? So here we have to write a tag called exclusion. Exclusions is a tag. Okay, so inside that we have to write what exclusion, like what type of thing you have to exclude. So first, now let me take here group ID. So what is the group ID here? org.spring framework. Copy and paste. And next, what is the jar name you want? Okay, I want the jar name called Spring JCL jar. I don't want Spring hyphen JCL. So what is the version here? So version. What is the version here? 5.3.2.8. Now observe guys. Okay, now observe I am not saving this file. I am not saving this file. Observe in the left side, we can able to see the jar called JCL jar. Okay, we can able to see the jar called JCL jar. Now let me save this file. Save. Okay. Automatically the jar will be disappeared. Yes. So the jar has been gone. That means what? So when we download the jars from the M1 repository, so Maven will take care of its dependency management, that is chaining process also. Automatically, all the child jars will be downloaded. At that time, if there is a particular requirement for the programmer that I don't want to use a particular jar, okay, so he has to use a tag called exclusion is a tag where he has to define like what kind of a jar he don't want to use inside his project. Okay, so if he don't want, okay, so he has to use a tag called exclusions. Sir, where we have to define this tag? Okay, we have to define this tag inside the parent tag. Okay, so parent dependency. So WebMVC is the dependency, right? I have copied from the internet. So inside this dependency, parent dependency, we have to exclude what child dependencies here. So this is a one step here. Okay, sir. Very good. We have understood about exclusion. Now let me remove this. Now let me remove this. Now observe what happens. automatically I have uncommented that. Okay, I have commented that. Uh, on the left side, you can able to see the JCL jar will be appearing again. Now let me save. Yes, we have got what JCL jar. Now let me uncomment. Okay. Now observe the JCL jar will go from here. The JCL jar has been gone. Now what is my next step here is, sir, we have understood like how to add the dependencies and how to work with the particular jars we have understood. But my requirement here is I don't want to work with this JDK version that is 1.5. I want to use 1.8. Okay, if you want to use 1.8 as a compiler in your project, so what you have to do here is, okay, so you have to do the two things. What is the two things here? One is, first we will be writing what properties. Okay, so properties like what is Maven compiler, source and target. And next one here is by using the plugins. Okay, so by using the plugins concept, okay, we will be changing the compiler versions here. Sir, how is this possible? Now, let me open the Maven official website. Okay, so Maven compiler plugin. Yes, so this is the thing. Setting the source and target of the compiler, Java compiler. Click on this. Now observe there are two types of things here. One is by using properties we can able to change the compiler version, and second one is what by using the plugins concept. Now let me take the first one here, properties. Now let me copy this, copy and paste inside our, okay, so inside our project. Now observe previously it is 1.5, it will be changed to where to 1.8 here. So Alt F5 and update the project. Yes, it has been changed to 1.8. Now I want to work with 1.7. Sir, what is the shortcut you have used? Okay, I have used a shortcut called what? Okay, so Alt plus F5 is a shortcut. Sir, without using shortcut, we can able to do. Yes, we can able to do it. How? Right click on the project. Okay, so Maven, and here choose the option called update project. And here click on OK. So the project will be updated. Okay, done. So this is the thing how we can able to change the that means compiler versions here. Now, so we have understood the first thing here, like by using property stack. Now, without using this property stack, I want to add with the Maven plugin. Okay, so for this we have to use this concept like build to build, and inside that we will be having that means adding a plugin called Maven compiler plugin. So inside that we will be using like what is the source and what is the target, like all those things. Now, let me copy and come here and paste. So we remove these things, build and build. Now this time what I am doing here is without properties file. Okay, so by using Maven plugins, okay, I want to build the application. So I am using a plugin. What type of plugin here? Maven compiler plugin. Okay, so Maven compiler plugin. This is the Maven version. Okay, so this is Maven version. And what is the configuration I want? That means what is the JDK I want? I want 1.8 and 1.8. Now come here. Previously it is what 1.7. Now let me save 100% completed. Now let me update the project. Right click Maven update project. Click on OK. Now observe guys, it will be changed to where it will be changed to 1.8. So this is the thing here. So this is the second thing, like how to change the compiler versions inside our Maven tool here. Okay, guys. So after this, what is the next step here is, uh, so in Maven we will be having different types of scopes, like what is system scope, what is compile time scope, what is runtime scope, what is test scope. Okay. So for every dependency, we will be having scopes. Okay. So what is the scopes concept we will be seeing now? I have told you, right, this exclusions. Okay, so exclusions means what? Like I want to remove the particular jar. So this is the thing I have placed inside the material. That means the material means what? I have created my own document here. So you can also make a request on my Telegram channel, that is Java by Saiteja. There you can able to find this material here. I will be posting this material inside this Telegram channel also. So what are the scopes in Maven? So scope means what? Like when I download one particular dependency from M1 repository, okay, so automatically all the repositories, that means all the jars will be loaded to where to M2 folder here, to M2 folder. Now, what I want to do here is I want to tell to Maven, hey Maven, okay, so all the dependencies has been downloaded to the folder called .m2 folder. So inside this M2 folder, I want to work with this time with the Hibernate jar. Okay, I want to work with Hibernate jar. But this Hibernate jar, okay, so I want to provide a scope, like when to use this Hibernate jar. So the scopes are provided inside the Maven is 5 types: default scope, runtime scope, system scope, test scope, and the next one is what? Provided scope here. Okay, so by default, if you don't mention any scope, okay, so here inside the dependency, we didn't mention any scope. Okay, so here we didn't mention any scope. This type of dependency is called as what? Okay, so default scope here. What type of scope here? Default scope. So compile time scope is also called as what? Default scope if no scope is provided inside the dependency tag. Okay, so if the no scope is provided, then what is the default scope here? Compile time scope is the default scope. That means if no scope is done once, that means what? Only it is compile time scope only. If the scope is, then what is the next scope here? Runtime scope. What is the runtime scope here is the jar will be loaded at runtime. Okay, I want to use this jar only at runtime. Then we will be defining a scope called runtime here. Now, how to define the scope here? Now here, let me write here a tag called scope. And here you can able to see like runtime. Okay, so at runtime I want to use. Okay, at compile time. Okay, we will be defining the scopes here like that. Next, what is the next one here? System scope. What is the system scope? I want to add the jars locally from my machine. Okay, that means what? Uh, so in real time, what happens here is for one project, we will be linking with another project. Okay, so that project will be binded and that project will be made as a jar. I want to use that jar inside my project. So for that sake, we have to use a tag, that means scope called system scope. So what the system scope tells, I want to add the jar locally from my machine. That means the jar is available inside my machine only. Okay, so please use that jar where we have to specify what. So what is the jar path location here? Like this is the system scope here. Now, how many types of scopes we have covered? Default scope, runtime scope, and system scope. What is the next scope here? Next scope here is test scope. What is this test scope? This scope is used. Okay, so when the jar is used at where? At testing purpose only. Okay, so at testing purpose, I want to use a jar. Then we have to use a scope called test scope. What is provided scope? Provided scope means what? So this scope is responsible at server level. Okay, so that means what? I want to use this particular jar, servlet API.jar. Okay, so this scope is responsible at where? At server level here. Okay, that means it is available, that means it is used for server configurations here. So to define the particular provided scope, so what we have to do here is so first we have to use a tag called scope. Okay, so scope we have used. Next, to use the particular thing, okay, so here we have to define this thing called what is the scope, like what is it is runtime or it is compiler time. Okay, so it is a test scope or system scope or provided scope here. Now, how many types of scopes we are having? One is what? Compile time scope. Okay, so by default. Okay, so default scope. Next one is what? Runtime scope. What is the next one? Runtime scope. Next one is what? System scope. Next one is what? Test scope. Next one is what? Provided scope here. So these are the 5 scopes what we are having. Okay, guys. So then next, after understanding these 5 scopes, now what is my next concept here is uh, so how to create a web application using Maven. So before creating a web application using Maven, first what I want to do here is I want to install. Okay, so I want to install Tomcat server. Okay, I want to install Tomcat server. Okay, so this is the next goal. Sir, how to install Tomcat server? Like what to do? All those things we'll be discussing in the next video. Okay, so that's it, guys. Now in this video, what I have explained like what is the Maven structure where we will be getting when we create a simple Maven project, like what are the folders and how to add the dependencies and what are the system scopes. Okay, that means Maven scopes and how to change the compiler things. Okay, so those things we have discussed. Still not over. Still we have to discuss like how to install Tomcat server and how to create a web application using Maven. Okay, so these things we have to discuss. And next one is what we have to discuss these things in very detail. Like what is this Maven build? What is this build dot dot? What is this clean? What is this install? What is this Maven test? Like all those things are available. So these things we'll be discussing in the next video. Okay, so that's it, guys. If you like my content, okay, so please press on the subscribe button and please press on the bell icon for the more interesting videos on Java real-time tools. Until next time, this is Sai Teja signing off. Take care. Bye bye.